Good morning and welcome to Unity Way Church. My name is Reverend Michael Schoonover and I'm the minister here at Unity Way Church in beautiful Vista, California. And I welcome you to our YouTube service. I know that whenever you do watch this service, it will be a blessing to you. And I already affirm and know that you are a massive blessing for us. I'd like to invite you to join me with our opening affirmation, which is from Wings of Prayer and is from Daily Word, April the 23rd, 1929. In the one, we are unified and inseparably joined. Just invite you to allow those words, those ideas to really fill in your soul understanding of who you are and what you can be. We are unified in the one presence and the one power. And even though sometimes we can forget that unification, it is always there if we go back to center and go back into that perfect alignment. We are a metaphysical church, which means we study consciousness. We study consciousness because it is through our awareness and consciousness that we create and really give the perception to the things and the events that are happening around us. We affirm as good students of truth, there is only one presence and one power. God the good, the omnipotent, only one life, only one substance, and actually only one divine understanding of the unification of spirit. One presence and one power. There's nothing and no one against us except some negative thinking. And if you believe that high truth understanding, I would invite you to please do them or use the mantra we use here at our church, which is, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen. And now here is Kristen with the Daily Word.
The word for today is refresh. Honoring the divine presence within me, I am refreshed. Stretching and yawning after a good sleep, enjoying a brisk walk in the early morning, or sipping a replenishing drink after a workout or time in the sun, I feel refreshed. I move forward to my next activity with a renewed feeling of well-being. Building upon and refreshing my knowledge may relieve me from thinking too much about my obligations. Spending time with a good book or revisiting a favorite passage from my favorite writing can give me a relaxing mental pause. I find many opportunities to refresh my awareness that God is the divine presence, that God, the divine presence, is within me wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. It takes only a moment to find God's presence reflected in the animals and the people around me. I encounter and in the natural beauty that surrounds me. And from Romans 15:32, so that by God's will I may come to you with joy and be refreshed in your company. And the affirmation is honoring the divine presence within, I am refreshed.
Thank you, Kristen. Refreshed. We all want that feeling, that movement of energy within us where we are refreshed. We're renewed. We're ready to do what we need to do in consciousness this very day. Right now, I'd like to sync up with Silent Unity, a divine idea that was birthed by Charles and Myrtle Fillmore back in 1890, originally called the Society of Silent Help. Today, right now, back at Unity Village in the Silent Unity Chapel, there's a prayer worker sitting in that sacred chapel with all those prayer claims that they have received on that altar. We bless that altar, we bless that prayer worker. And by the power of omnipresence, I'd like to bring some of that healing energy, prospering energy, bring it forth into the sanctuary where I am this morning. And as it permeates this room and goes out over our property, over to wherever you may be, may you this moment know that you're protected, that you have never been alone, and that you truly are special, sacred, and unique. And we know that to be so because it is truly the truth of our being, and it is what we teach. And we just say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. I pulled a very interesting comic for you, and you can see it's R2-D2. I think that's the guy from Star Wars. But he's looking at a computer screen, and it says Ancestry.com, and it says 23% toaster, 18% recorder, 26% trash can, 4% hubcap, 3% laser printer, and 12% Duracell batteries. And you know that is so funny. Come on. You know all the little pieces are all put together, kind of like a Chico and the Man, a salvage yard. Keep in your seats, please. Guys, I got to record. Can't have you bouncing up like that. From my Minister Joke page, I have a little joke I'd like to share with you, and it is, why did the lawnmower stop working on Labor Day? Think about that. Why did the lawnmower stop working? Let's think. It was so sick and tired of getting pushed around. Oh, you know that is so funny. Come on. People, stay in your seats. Keep the Babe Ruth candy bars in your mouth. You either eat them or don't be throwing the wrappers and stuff on the floor or on the chairs. Laughter is good for the soul. We need to laugh more. And I know my lessons always go very well with Babe Ruth candy bars, so that's good. This morning, my talk title is A Labor Day of Love. We're going into this Labor Day weekend, and I will be discussing and bringing up some ideas and thoughts about how we maybe can look at Labor Day from a different perspective this morning. I'd like to open up with an idea that I came across during my research for this talk, and it is from Mother Teresa, and she says, "The miracle is not that we do the work, but that we are happy to do it." And I think that really sums up really what a Labor Day of love really can mean and should mean for us. Are we doing it because we really want to do it? Are we doing it because we really feel we want to do it? Or are we doing it out of a sense of obligation? Are we just going along with the program to get this day over with? I think it's something to think about, because in truth, we want to be authentic. And if you want to live in an authentic consciousness, we need to be real with where our feeling nature is. And we'll be talking about this morning. The first Labor Day in the United States was celebrated on September the 5th, 1882 in New York City, and was planned by the Central Labor Union. You know, it's the labor force that really keeps our country going. Labor Day is a public United States holiday. It's celebrated on the first Monday in September. I want to share with you an idea that I've been working with when I was putting this talk together, is that love is rooted in caring. When we think of love and a Labor Day of love, it really needs to be rooted in an idea of caring, self-caring. Because if you don't care about yourself, you can't care about any of your loved ones around you. You can only be the energy that you are. You can only be the emotions that you really are. I'd like to share with you a little bit about love as we're going into this Labor Day weekend, because I believe we should labor in love. Everything we do should have really the saturation of a love idea with it. Because if we're not doing it because we love to do it or for a reason that's positive, then it's going to be usually for a negative reason, or we want to just get done. And that is what gets us into snags in relationships and keeps us uneasy in our feelings. And we don't want that, especially if we're going to have a Labor Day of love, a Labor Day of self-love. Love is a choice. It's a decision in its actions. Metaphysics is always asking one question: what do we choose? What do we want? What do we desire? What do we want to love? We can love misery just as well as we can love happiness. We get to choose. And especially if we're thinking about a Labor Day of love, which we're going to celebrate tomorrow on Monday, I think we should set some time aside to think about us, our own journey. Where are we? Where do we want to improve? Where can we pat ourselves on the back and say we've really made a dent, we've made progress? We're a work in progress, but we're always growing. Labor Day also honors the American labors, and labor really is represented by strength, prosperity, the laws, and the well-being of our country. Again, we need to bless our workers. Nothing just happens. We flip the switch to do this or flip the switch to do that. Somebody is on the other side of that switch making stuff happen. And we want to bless them, especially on Labor Day. Just be mindful of so many things that we sometimes can take for granted. Labor Day weekend is the summer's official end, which I think most of you know, and it's recognized again as a federal holiday. I think that's very special. It says something about our country, that we honor the labor force. because we're all here to do the labor. We're all here to do the work which we want to do, to live and help create not only our own life, but to support our country to get better and better and to keep improving and improving. A labor of love. A man is not paid for having a head and hands, but for using them. I think that's a good thing. How are we using them? Are we showing up authentically? Are we showing up in unconditioned love? Something we can ponder. This is from John Gordon. When we work for a bigger purpose, we find an endless supply of happiness at work. Again, what kind of happiness do you want? We want to have happiness that's based in who we are, that we are really who we have come to be. We're loving our life. Doesn't mean it's perfect, but we're still loving the journey. We're still growing and expanding. Again, labor is really the supreme accomplishment, but sometimes I think it can be blurred, and I kind of think we should blur that line between work and play. Because when you play at something, even though you're doing it, it might be difficult, it doesn't seem like work. So maybe the next time you have to clean the floor or do a task that you don't really want to do, think of it as something fun. Think of it as something fun. Kind of lifts our vibration up to not only get through the job that we want to do, but puts a right attitude in our soul. How can we see everything in life as a labor of love? How can we celebrate the true Labor Day of love? I really want to ponder that question with us this morning. We get to decide how that is going to show up in our life. We get to decide that. So how do you want to show up this Labor Day weekend? How do you want your day tomorrow, a day off where there's no mail and the banks are closed? How do you want to picture that? Because you have the choice to decide what that labor of love will be for you on Labor Day. Love is an expression, I will say, and it appears in our Bible, the idea of labor in the New Testament is referred to as God's work as a labor of love. See, when you enjoy what you're doing, and you're in your alignment of the divinity within you, everything you do is a labor of love. Even though it's work, you do it because you want to do it. You're in the moment, they're in the moment, allowing it to be what it's supposed to be. You're not coming and showing up with a negative attitude. Can't wait till this gets over. I can't wait till we're done with this. A labor of love takes it as it comes, moment by moment. This is from Robert Greene Ingersoll. Labor is the only prayer that nature answers. I think that's very true. If you want a garden, you might have to pull some weeds. If you want a lawn, you might have to mow it. You have beautiful things in your house, you might have to dust them. You make wonderful meals, but you might have to do the dishes afterwards. And again, it's not the activity that's usually the problem. It's usually the attitude we put with doing the dishes or weeding the garden or cleaning the garage or whatever it may be. May this be the Sunday we have a Labor Day of love where whatever we do, we're going to think a little bit differently. We're going to be positive. Again, labor is a very potent motivator when we have pursued a path to a successful completion. We are here to be successful. We're not here to be flops. We're here to be successful. And success can mean many, many things and many different ways and avenues of expression in each of our own lives. And you and I individually get to choose how that is going to show up for us in our life. We are reminded that there is a power that we surmount, and that when you really have a Labor Day of love activity that you want to engage in, and you do it with the understanding and love, whatever the roadblocks may be, you will get over them. You will get through them. You will get past them. That's the promise of really having a Labor Day of love, a love where you're doing it because you truly, truly choose to do it. The amateurs sit and they wait for inspiration. Of course, none of you would do that. I'll speak for myself. But the rest of us get up and go to work. We do the work. We're here to do. We're not here, part of being is doing. Thought takes form in action. Love takes form in action. Whatever that action may be, it could be making a stew, it could be mending a sock, putting on a button on a shirt. But again, thought takes form in action. We want that action to be based in love. This is from the Hebrew Scriptures. This is the great book of Psalms, chapter 128, verse 2. You will eat the fruit of your labor. Blessings and prosperity will be yours. Just breathe into that. We eat the fruit of our own labor. When we do labor, we're blessing ourselves. Also blessing other people too, but we're also blessing ourselves. Again, we were not created just to be a rock on the soil. We're not a bump on a log or something. We're here to really grow and expand, and as a Labor Day of love, whatever that day may be, it doesn't have to be just Labor Day. Every day should be a day where you labor in love. You're showing up because you want to be there. You want to show up there with the right attitude. Many times it's like rushing through a meal and not really giving thanks for the people who have prepared the meal. Not just you in the kitchen or the grocery store, but where it was grown, how it was packaged, all the hands that went through to get it to your refrigerator. It's a labor of love, and I think we should bless that entire system of how that example of food gets to us. And we can do that. And the one reason why we bless food is because everything's energy. And when you bless something, it becomes a positive effect for you. That's the real reason for even holding blessings when you eat a meal, is to really put in and endow whatever you're going to be eating with a signature of true unconditional love. Laboring in love allows us to feel our oneness. It allows us to have security and also to have enjoyment. See, if you have love, you need to have enjoyment. If you have love without enjoyment, then I have to question what kind of love you have, because that's not the love we're speaking about here. We individually experience by sharing our labor fruits with others, and we nourish each other's souls. We're all in this together. There is only one presence and one power. And even though we seem consciously as separate entities, we're all in that one divine mind. We have the consciousness in that one divine mind. Or as the ancients would say, it's the fish swimming in the ocean or the water. It doesn't realize it just takes it for granted that it's in that water. And that is the love that we are swimming in all the time, if we're willing to take notice of it. This is from the New Testament. This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 6, verse 12. Don't drag your feet. Be like those who stay the course with committed faith and then get everything promised to them. You see, if you want to have a garden, you got to plant the seeds. It's just having them in the packets isn't going to do it. You want to be a great cook, you got to take the cookbook off the shelf, open it up, and start working with the recipes and with the ingredients. And when you do that, you become even more of a blessing to what you're doing, because we're here to have activity. We're here to bless everything that we do. And again, it should be a promise of fun, not only for us, but for the people around us. We don't want to be, when we're doing something, a drudgery or something. Let's have a different attitude. Let's have an attitude of love. So even if it's a task maybe we truly don't love, like sweeping the driveway, we can still put a different attitude into it and change that activity. Change it for us and how it shows up in our life. Labor of love is being supportive of all people, creatures, and all the plant life of this world. We're here to be good stewards. We're here to take care of this world in which we live and move and have our being, which means we're not self-centered. We don't spend our life with our ego just staring at our own belly buttons. We're here to make a difference, a love difference, a labor of love difference. Genuine loving service without egos, expectation, and return. See, here's the thing. If you're doing something and you really feel that you deserve a return, or they owe you this, or they owe you, or they should owe you, that's not the Labor Day of love that I'm talking about. Because even if you don't say that, people will pick up on that energy. Let's let that go. Let us do it for the right reason for doing it. We're good and we live the life we live because this is the way we can live a less complicated life. We live in a world of cause and effect, and we can allow ourselves to be used by the law, or we can use it for our benefits. And again, for a labor of love, especially on this Labor Day that we're going to be celebrating tomorrow, but really every day is a day of labor. We're doing something. Let's put a different attitude into our own consciousness and see what stirs within us. We can rest when we're weary, we can be refreshed, and we can renew ourselves. We can renew our mind, body, and spirit. Then let's get back to work. You see, it's nothing wrong with taking a pause. Nothing wrong with taking a siesta. There's nothing wrong with taking a nap. There's nothing wrong with saying, this is all I want to do for tonight. But then we know we're going to get back to it at the time when we have our energies and we're focused on finishing the job. I think many times we just want to be like that energizing bunny, just go, 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 go. And that doesn't necessarily mean good outcomes. I mean, I think we do need to take a pause. Let's see if this is working out, or we need to maybe look from a different perspective. Again, this to me is really what a labor of love is. Every activity we do, we want to leave our energy signature that you're doing this in a labor of love, and you're sealing that. I'd like to share a little story with you. This is Alice's story of how she remembers Labor Day. Growing up, we lived in the county of North Carolina. Summers were hot, and there was no air conditioning when I grew up. I remember when we got a window fan, and I thought we were in the high cotton. On occasion, we would get to go to a creek to cool off. It was named Sandy Creek and was the perfect spot to sit in the shade or slide down the rocks into the cool stream water. Summers were barefoot heaven, and Mama sewed our summer outfits out of chicken feed bags. Tell us an older story. We had no idea that we were poor. Isn't that interesting? They had no idea that they were poor because we had a garden and we had a pig, and it kept our bellies full. There was no picnics for us or holidays in those days in our life, but my mama could cook up the best meal on a Sunday that there ever was, with fried chicken, buttered beans, sliced tomatoes, biscuits, and a huge chocolate cake. Those are the memories of really a happy Labor Day weekend. And I think that brings to mind, even though we maybe grew up and didn't have, quote, what we would say now that we maybe would have wanted, you don't know that you're poor unless somebody tells you you're poor. You don't know you have a deficit unless that's the ego telling you that. And even though they lived in hard times and they didn't have, quote, a Labor Day like that, the time that they spent at that stream, playing in the water, the cool mountain water there, that creek or stream, and having just a family time together, that's a labor of love. And that makes it all worthwhile. This is from the New Testament. This is the book of John, chapter 5, verse 17. My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. Again, we are here to live the life we have chosen, which means we have to roll up our sleeves, take an idea or a thought and images which we want to experience, and we need to allow them to manifest in our life. It's not going to happen for us. The basket is not going to arrive on the front stoop. If you really want something, you desire something, you're going to have to put the effort to get it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that, because you see, everything comes into our life by right of consciousness. So let's make our day or our thought about labor a labor of love consciousness. It truly changes the entire situation, whatever it may be, because you're at a higher frequency. There are 4 types of labor I'd like to share with you this morning. And the first one is skilled labor. The second one is unskilled labor. The third one is semi-skilled labor. And the fourth one is the professional. And these really make up our active labor force. And I believe we need to bless each and every one of those 4, the skilled, the unskilled, the semi-skilled, and the professional. We need them all. We need them all. And I think sometimes people think, well, they just want to be this or that. We all need to work together. You know, no one ever got someplace they didn't have to work to get there, especially if it's something you want or in a career. So let's be mindful of and giving respect to every activity that goes to, from the truck driver driving our vegetables into town, or the person that's picking them, or the person who's out working with the watering to make sure they're watered, or us in the kitchen, cleaning, cutting up the cantaloupe. Let us be thankful and show really a labor of love in every activity that we do. And this is from Martin Luther King Jr. All labor that uplifts humanity has dignity and importance and should be undertaken with painstaking excellence. What Martin Luther King Jr. is telling us is we really need to stand in excellence. And I believe a labor of love, a Labor Day of love, gives us the opportunity to stand in the excellence of truly unconditional love. So the activities that we engage in, we're really there consciously. Our mind isn't waiting for the news to come on. Our mind isn't worrying about we're going to go to the mailbox to get that letter. We're there present in the moment. That's truly a labor of love. Our lives are a labor of love in motion, and we are buoyed by the universe's flowing waves. We are supported by the currents of spirit. See, if we start thinking correctly, we float. We don't get sunk. Negative thinking sinks us to the bottom of usually where we are, we don't really want to go, which ends up in depression. Let's lift ourselves up. Really, a labor of love allows us to really be buoyed up above. That, the storms and the waters may swish this way and swish that way, but we are on top of the water. We're not being submerged or taken over by these activities. The individual who says it is not possible to move, I believe they should get out of the way because there's other people that are doing it. I think it's really important. Many times in our life or journey, there's always going to be naysayers. You can't do it, or it can't be done, or you got to worry. What about this? What about that? Oh, what about this? I never thought about that. Let's let that go. Let's begin the task that we feel we should be on. And let us be guided according to the loving nature of our own Creator, because our divinity will lead us step by step. And if we had to make a left turn or right turn, or we got to back up, we got to go up a hill or maybe go down into a valley, we know that we're not going to stay there. We're going to move forward. And that's what a labor of love offers us. This is from James A. Baldwin. Enthusiasm in our daily work lightens efforts and turns even labor into pleasant tasks. I don't believe any of us should be doing any activities that put a frown on our face. And if you are, I think you have to realize, why are you doing it? Why are you doing it? You're doing it because you want to do it. And even if it's something you don't want to do, like cleaning the dishes. If you don't have clean dishes, you're not going to, dirty dish. You don't clean the dirty dishes. You can't have clean dishes when you want to have a meal or something. It's part of the practice. So the one who prepares the food, it's also a blessing for those who clean up afterwards. Again, that's part of that cycle of really living in the labor of love. Living in a labor of love consciousness every day makes the world around us a better place. And I believe that's a promise as good true students we can hold to. Labor of love is the gifts we give to ourselves as unique true students, and we share that gift. See, you can have all the love you can imagine, but if you can't share it, you don't want to share it, then there's a problem. Because then it's not really an unconditioned love. You're not really doing it from a labor of love. You're doing it from a lack place, or you're doing it where you believe people owe you or something. And that's really an Adamic way of thinking. And when you think in mixtures with the ego, you're going to get mixtures and get results. Let's start off with the pure divine idea that all the labors that we're going to do starting this Sunday, right now, are going to be done in a labor of love. Unconditional love, because we want to do what's right. Spirit is always at work in our life. We always have a purpose. And when we go beyond that ego self within us, work really changes. You're still going to go to bed tired. I understand that. But it's a different understanding. You feel relaxed. You feel like you've accomplished something. And again, it also involves a well-beingness. When you live from a consciousness of a labor of love, you sleep better at night. Your day is less snagged. And I think all of us can ponder, how could we make our Labor Days, all the activities we do, not just tomorrow on Labor Day, how could we make every day a Labor Day of love, where we're really showing up authentically as who we are? And this is from the Greek philosopher Sophocles, and he says, without labor, nothing prospers. Just hits you right there in the solar plexus, because everything is an activity. Labor is an activity. We're the ones that can make the labor positive or negative. That's our choice. That's our choice. We can do the dishes happy, or we can do the dishes angry. Again, that's our choice. When we embrace and celebrate the wonder of God, the awe of God, the power of God, which indwells us, the I am that I am, our life changes. The labor of love, it really becomes a mindset, and it fills our hearts, and it really heals our souls, and it really binds our wounds together. And when I'm saying love, I'm not talking about an ego-tainted love. I'm talking about an unselfish love, an unselfish love for yourself, for your family, for the things that are in your life, your possessions, your animals, whatever it may be. Every activity that you do, that's how you shut the door, can be a labor of love. When we try to resist life's flow, we start losing our position, and it really costs us, and we waste valuable soul energies. See, so much of our life is spent because we're trained by the ego in the world around us that we got to resist, and all that does is burn us out. Let's come up higher. Let's stop resisting. Let's respond differently in because whatever you resist is going to magnetically still be showing up in your life, no matter what it is. So you go from one problem to another problem. You go from one problem to a bigger problem, and one bigger problem to another problem. Let's let that go. Let us allow this idea of love, the Labor Day of love energy, to dissolve anything that is unlike itself. And that's what truly the divine idea of love can do for all of our lives. This is from the New Testament. This is Paul's letter to the Thessalonians, and this is 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. We gave you this rule, quote, if a man will not work, he shall not eat, unquote. And I think there's a lot of truth into that. And metaphysically, what this means, if we're not willing to take up a prayer practice, we're not willing to affirm the good despite appearances, we're not going to reap the harvests that we want. Who are you fooling? You're really only fooling yourself, because the law is always operative. If you put in good, you're going to get a good effect. If you put in negative, you're going to get a negative effect. And with love, we always want to go to our highest understanding of unconditional love. So I'd encourage us sometime tomorrow to take a pause. Just take a pause and take a deep breath and see where you are in the labor of love, the activities that you do. Do you need to maybe spend some more time reflecting on why you're doing things? Or maybe you need to let some activities go. There's nothing wrong with saying the word no. We know in metaphysics, no is a complete sentence. Knowing Christ, we make the difference in our nation's labor force and consciousness. And what I'm sharing there is because we don't see the world as broken. We see the world as open with a lot of opportunities, a lot of places that love truly will lead the way. When we ride this labor of love wave, we are carried into so many areas, and there's so many more gifts that just keep on coming to us. Again, it's a vibrational thing. When we're riding that high wave of love, blessings and blessings and blessings keep coming our way. When we're riding that wave of negative love, those curses and curses and curses keep coming our way. We get to decide. This is from Helen Rubinson. Hard work keeps the wrinkles out of the mind and spirit. Let's let go of the wrinkles. Let's let go of the challenges. Let us let go of being cowards in our own life. Let's have courage. Let's stand up today and be different if we need to be. Let tomorrow take where it's going to go. Let the past go. But today, let's have courage. Let's be who we've come to be. Which means if you really want to experience this divine idea of a labor of love, we need to stop playing the blame game. I won't speak for you, I'll speak for myself. It's because of this, or because of that, or because of those and that. That's a game. That's an ego game that leaves us stuck. Let's let that go. It really stunts our growth and really taints the love that we have to give. Because again, if we don't really love and respect ourselves, we can't share that love with anyone else. Without ambition, one starts nothing. Without work, one finishes nothing. The prize will not be sent to you. The prizes that we want in our life are the experiences that we want in our life. We get to choose. Are we going to choose love this Sunday? Are we going to choose a Labor Day of divine love? Are we going to we can see our life through a different lens, a different perspective? We can if we choose. This is from Elbert Hubbard. A man is not paid for having a head and hands, but for using them. And again, that's that idea I shared earlier in the talk. You have all the equipment, but you have to use it to the best of your ability. And as you use your abilities and your skills, they get better and better. They get better and better. And that's why we want to always do anything that we labor in or activity that we do in a labor of love. Again, we can't go back and we can't rewind yesterday to make up for those past Labor Days that are gone. Here's the deal. Let today be the end of yesterday. And right here and right now, let's enter a new chapter. Let's walk through a threshold into a new world, into a new perspective, where we really want to live this divine idea of a Labor Day of love, not just one day a year on a Monday, but let's live it every day of our life and see truly the blessings that will just be poured out onto us in our lives. In closing, I'd like to leave you with some wisdom, and this is from some Jewish philosophy. And it says, we each decide whether to make ourselves learned or ignorant, compassionate or cruel, generous or miserly. No one decides for us. None drags us along one path or the other. We are responsible for what we are. This Sunday, let's take responsibility for our life and truly live the divine idea of a labor of love. Not just on a holiday weekend, but for every hour, for every activity that we engage in from here on out. It's a high calling, but I believe we can make the correct choice. And we just say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. This is the time in our service we have the opportunity to share our love offerings, our gifts, and our tithes. I invite you to take whatever your gift may be and imbue it with love. Imbue it with a labor of love, your highest understanding. We believe in the law of circulation. We believe in the law of cause and effect. And we know as we tithe, the universe is already starting to fill us up again with more prosperity, more health, and more wisdom. But we have to start, we have to tap the well. And that's really what tithing is. If you please join me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give and all that I receive. And we just say, thank you, God. And we seal this again in a labor of love ideal. You can go to unityway.com and get our mailing address, or you can go to unityway.com and do an electronic donation. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know that it is a labor of love when you tithe, and I know you will be blessed beyond measure. And again, we just say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. And now, this is the time where we have really the gift and the pleasure to really recite our prayer for protection. And I'd like this morning to dedicate this to all the workers of the past, all the workers now, and all the workers of the future. May we imbue in these workers this divine idea of a Labor Day of love, where we truly show up as who we were created to be, divine beings. If you join me, please. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Happy Labor Day. And just know that this Labor Day, things can be different if we consciously choose to really live a Labor Day of love. I'll see you next Sunday, and we just say thank you, God, and so it is. Amen.